to this practice log. I'm back with another render for the Pwnisher Weekly Challenge. This time, the theme was Journey. I've got a little boat leaving the main town to explore a ruin in the distance. I think this one was a bit ambitious, but I wanted to try a large environmental establishing shot. One of my favourite artists is Stefan Hampel, and he's a master at these kinds of shots. And what I noticed in his work is that the camera moves towards some kind of hero object. In my case, it's the temple. I made the other objects, like the boat and the buildings, much smaller, to hopefully give a grand sense of scale. I'm doing the layout in Houdini this time, starting off with the height field. I had a lot of fun messing around with the noise settings, and I think there are some interesting shapes that came out of it. The temple is a free asset from Kitbash 3D, and the shanty buildings are from this polygon pack. They're pretty low poly, but I was planning to have the camera quite high up, so hopefully it has enough detail from that view. I used the height field scatter node to distribute the buildings on the main island, and ran a copy to points along a curve to create the walkways. The ocean was a grid and a spectrum going into an evaluate, with an attribute VOP that removes the intersection with the height field. I'm exporting the assets from Houdini to Blender using Blendini. This time, I tried using textures from Polyhaven for the assets, and initially it added a whole lot more detail like the brick texture for the temple. But for the height field, I can see parts where the textures are stretching, probably a UV issue on the Houdini export, and maybe the scale of the texture is not right. The height field feels small in my opinion. For critiques, I think the town doesn't feel like a real town in the way it's laid out. It had an okay starting point using the middle island as the main cluster, but I think it could have been more intentional about pathways and streets to make it look more lived in. I could have also tried to add crowds of people to bring it to life, but that's something to figure out all on its own. For the temple, I think some movement could have been nice. Maybe some flags or banners flying in the wind. I don't think the water was entirely effective this time. The speed looks quite slow in general. The waves don't catch the pings, and it's really obvious that there is no interaction when the grid meets the height field. I might need to do a separate test just for the water, maybe in a smaller tank, just to practice a bit more. That's it for now. See you next time.